All right, let's go ahead and dive in here. This will be a little interesting because I'm going to give a pretty broad overview of web checkout. So normally what I would demo in 45 minutes, I think we're going to try to squeeze in 15 to 20 minutes. But as we said before, we want the mic tech. You can mute yourselves, but if you have a question, please jump in. The more questions you ask, the more I get an idea of maybe what's going on in your checkout center and your operation. And it also helps me to figure out where we can help. So I am going to turn my camera off because demoing while you're on camera is just awkward. But so we'll go ahead and start with, quick little dog and pony show about us. I'm assuming if you're here, you've probably heard of us before. Web Checkout's been in this business now for more than 20 years. And we were built within higher education. So that's all we specialize in. And we were built within the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And I would say kind of the backbone of our product is controlling what equipment is and isn't allowed to do. That could be because of your class enrollment. That could be because of what you're certified to do within a university. So we're a very large asset management system, but we're catered to control what equipment can and can't do in the hands of a 19-year-old, which is pretty specialized. So since we began our work with the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, we have expanded to more than 400 higher education customers worldwide. And I'm very thankful to say that the school in Chicago that we started with, we are still with them to this day. Now, we have changed over the years. We really used to just be software company. That was kind of our bread and butter. Since then, we've really focused more on a consultative aspect. So a big part of this is communicating with our community. So we have a lot of interactions with our customers so we can get a better idea of what to do with our product and how to build it out in our many releases. The way we interact with our customers, each person is assigned an implementation manager that's always going to be with their account. That person's going to help with training and implementing their product. We have quarterly town hall meetings. These are highly attended. Pretty soon, we're going to have our annual online user symposium. And by all means, I hope some of you attend. And we also attend all of the trade shows that I'm sure that you've heard of. So I think the big note there is we really like communicating with our customers to see how we can build out this product better. Now for our tour today, again, broad strokes. So what we're going to do is start out with Patron Portal. That's our mobile reservation solution. So I want to give you an idea about what your students are going to be using to make reservations. From there, we'll discuss how it is that we limit, consider it the policies and kind of capabilities of a person with the system. So what is a student allowed to do with the equipment? What are your student workers allowed to do inside of your checkout center? We'll also take a look at some of the efficiency of barcode scanning. And then one of the big things is going to be discussing the term that we love to use here, which is the full inventory life cycle of a product. So we really want to make sure that we track everything from when you purchase the equipment all the way to when it's retired. So I'll give you a brief overview of that. Okay, and that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. Whew, I'm glad the right window popped up. So we have two interfaces within Web Checkout. I think that that's kind of important to keep in mind here. The interface that you see right here, this is our administrative side of the system. So consider this your data hub, your dashboards. This really is for you as the administrator to see everything that's going on and to create rules about what equipment can and can't do. Now, your students are going to look at something completely different. Your students, when they make reservations, they're going to go to a mobile-friendly website called Patron Portal. So for our tour, we're going to start there. Now, Patron Portal is nice because it does work with your authentication systems. So we don't want you to have to track usernames and passwords. I'm going to take this down again. We won't explain everything here. So something that's nice about this system, I'll go ahead and throw this up. Again, this is a responsive system, so it's meant to conform to the size of any screen. So this is how it would look on an iPad. It can shrink even further for a phone. So it's meant to be, everything reverts to a carousel mode. So it's very, very friendly when it comes to mobile devices. Now, probably the most important part about Patron Portal is that it's ADA compliant. And more specifically, it's WCAG 2.0 level AA compliant. And that's a mouthful, but what that means is this system, we worked very hard to make sure that this system can be utilized by a very large student population on your campus. So if students have disabilities when it comes to sight, if it comes to hearing, there are several other disabilities that this site works with. It's meant to accommodate those things. An example could be, the contrast can change on this website. You can actually tab through everything that's on this website. This website can actually read descriptions and titles to students. So as far as we've seen, we're very proud that this is the only solution right now within higher education that has met those requirements. Now, this website, the way it's organized is completely up to you. I decided to put accessories, broadcast bundles, and cameras out here. You don't have to do that. You choose your own pictures. You organize this any way you want. And an important thing is that everything that you see here is based on what I'm allowed to see. So if I'm a freshman in college, only enrolled in 3 classes, I'd probably get in trouble for that. Maybe I'll only be able to see a handful of equipment that I'm allowed to see based on my class enrollment. But here, since I'm an administrator, I can see everything. So I'm going to go ahead and make a quick reservation for us. And let's pick on Apple products since I'm not a big fan of Apple, but let's do it. So I'm going to select my MacBook Pro. I'm going to reserve one of this type. This is a nice feature right here because if you click reserve one of this type, then it's up to you as the administrator to pick which exact MacBook Pro to give the student when they come to pick it up. Now from here, I'm going to just pick the dates that I want this equipment. I'm going to go ahead and stick with one. There's no reason to get 2 MacBook Pros. Now, I have this weird area right here, this area that's highlighted in red, which means if you read down here, I have to agree to these terms and conditions for packing everything properly. This is kind of an unusual deal. I'll explain it a little further, but to satisfy the needs of this system, I want to check it. Now I'm going to click Submit Reservation. Now, right when I clicked that, this little green bar came up, and what that means is I, the student, just received an email showing that I have requested approval for obtaining that laptop. Also, a message has been sent back to the administrative side of the system showing that you need to approve that laptop to be deployed. Now, there are usually a lot of questions here. I might as well insert a little pause. Does anybody have any questions about what I just did? Okay.
I have one, sorry.
Jump in, please.
I delayed mine. Can you restrict how long they can request certain types of equipment for?
Good, very good question. Answer is yes. So one of the nice parts about that, it can get very granular. So for example, you could say every piece of equipment here can only go out for 2 days, but then you could also say this camera is really expensive. I only want it to go out for 8 hours. So for specific types of equipment, you can make it even more granular, selective, how long it can go out. And as I mentioned earlier, y'all will never interrupt me. Please chime in unless you just want to talk about sports or something. But if it's questions about this, let's go. So I'm going to do a couple other little things with Patron Portal. Another thing that you can do is, I think the best way to do this now is to talk about kind of groupings of equipment. We have a couple ways that we group equipment. If you remember earlier, we were taking a look at this MacBook Pro kit. Now, a kit Here's a great example of it. This kit includes a charging cord, case, mouse, and an HDMI cord. Now, a kit in web checkout means that these items are always traveling with this laptop. They never get separated. So this system is very good at tracking kind of groups of equipment. Now, one other option you have is to go with a bundle. So a bundle's different. A bundle could be a group of equipment. This works in a wide variety of ways, but as for example, for y'all, a bundle could be a group of equipment that you typically see that gets reserved maybe for a class project. And you want to make sure that a student knows that they need to get these 5 or 6 items together. So if I click this bundle and I go to my basket, you're going to see a whole lot of equipment that's automatically going to drop in here. One of the nice parts about that is each one of these items is very, very flexible. So when the student comes to pick up this equipment, it will be up to you to decide what Streambox, Veda, whatever that is, which one you want to hand out to that student, and which Sony body kit you want to hand out to that student. The benefits of this is, let's say one of these items was damaged or something right before the student went to pick up the equipment, or maybe it wasn't returned on time. This gives you the flexibility to choose another substitute. And you can even, kind of adjust these things if you decide that you want 2 of one, or maybe want to get rid of some of these. Again, the system's built to be very, very flexible. The last thing I was going to address in Patron Portal was going to be this unique line. I agreed to terms and conditions for packing everything properly. The reason it's written out in that interesting way is because I went ahead and I built it before the demo, actually for another client. So you can create unlimited custom fields that can be shown on Patron Portal like here. It can also be built into the back end of the system. And you can make these fields mandatory to be selected or filled out, or you can make them recommended. Our goal is for you to be able to obtain as much information as possible from a student during the reservation process, so that you don't have to call them, you don't have to email them directly. So if you have a few unique things that you want to collect from a student before they finish their reservation, you can add those questions in a variety of forms into this document. So I'm about to dive into the back end of the system. Do you have any other questions about the student side and what it is that your customers can see? All right, well, let's dive into the back end real quick. This is where y'all will live anyways. So on the administrative side of the system, we are very big when it comes to dashboards. We love our dashboards. So I'll show one of them to you today. We always want to give everyone the opportunity to see what orders they need to prepare for. So you can already see that MacBook Pro kit. Here's that order down here. So you'll always be able to see what it is you need to get ready, but also incoming, we'll be able to see what equipment is getting returned to us. These will be highlighted red if something's falling behind. Now, the way that this is viewed on the front page, allocation, patrons, start time, end time, these fields are totally editable by you. So if you want different information to populate on your dashboards, you can most certainly do that. And you can also adjust what information's coming on the dashboard. So for example, maybe you only want to see the next couple days orders. You don't want to see all of the orders that you have. They're reserved for the next year. So this is very customizable by yourself. Also, let's say that a student comes in and they decide not to make a reservation. They actually want to make a checkout, which means they want a piece of equipment right now. So they want to be able to walk out with a piece of equipment nearly as quickly as they come to the desk. So what you could do is an expedited checkout. To do this, you could click on this check mark. All you have to do is type in the first 3 letters of your name, include an end date. From here, you could scan the equipment that they want, click confirm, and the order is completed. The same goes for returning equipment. We understand that a lot of times it seems that students are all returning equipment at the exact same time, and sometimes that can stack on your desk. So what you can do is scan each piece of equipment and automatically put it right back into circulation from here. The nice part about this is the system's going to pick up if something's missing. So if at the end of the day, you're scanning a lot of equipment in, if something isn't there, if something's running late, you're going to notice on the dashboard that something's still missing. Automated messages are going to be sent out to that student that are warning them that they still have something to return. So the system's going to pick up on that and is going to kind of relieve you of that human error that can occur here. Now, I had mentioned policies, pretty much what equipment is and is not allowed to do. The same goes with your student workers. I want to show you my profile to show you what I am and am not allowed to do. So this is my profile. You can already tell I'm in trouble. The red banner shows just how bad I am in the system. I might as well point out I have 22 late returns and 58 unused reservations. So I'm not sure how much longer my boss is going to let me have access to this thing. If we click on operator info, though, you can see what I am and am not allowed to do within web checkout. We have a host of capabilities that each person is allowed to have. I'm not going to go through each one of these. Y'all would never forgive me for it, but just to give you an example of some of these capabilities, you may want to say that a brand new student worker is not allowed to override, is not allowed to forgive a student for having, for not paying their fees. That could be an example of it. Or a student is not allowed to check out equipment to themselves. And you can kind of save yourself some time instead of filling out these capabilities every time you hire somebody. You could just create some operator roles. And when the person, when you hire somebody, enter them into the system, select the proper operator role they have, and their capabilities will automatically fall in line. So from here, I'm going to steer in a different direction. We're going to talk about resources a little bit. So that would be your equipment and the life cycle of it. So, you know what, let's go back to that MacBook Pro. If I'm picking on MacBooks, I might as well just keep doing it. So what I'm looking up right now is the type of equipment. So a type is kind of like a category. So under this type of MacBook Pro kit, we actually have 3 specific MacBook Pros. So I'm going to dig in a little bit for my first kit. And something to note before I go into some of the inventory management, a big part of this system is measuring usage. We want to make sure that you have an idea about how much equipment's being utilized. So if you want to take a look at all of your MacBook Pros and take a look at how often they're being used within a 30-day period, if you want to separate that to see who's using it the most, this system is going to measure all of that for you. The big thing I wanted to make note of was going to be the inventory management side of the system. There are a lot of asset management systems out there. We would love for this to be the system that manages not only your circulating equipment, but even your static equipment. So maybe TVs that are hanging on the wall. I have a customer who has only furniture in their libraries in this system. So our hope is that everything could be saved here. So this system can save a variety of fields. Home location is always going to be important for us. Purchase date, I know y'all can read, so I won't go over every one of these. Replacement date is going to be pretty darn important. So a lot of our customers will include a replacement date of maybe when a warranty ends or when they expect that the life of that equipment normally ends anyways. Now, of all these fields here, if there are things that are missing, again, you can create your own fields and all of them are reportable. So we want to make sure that you can save an unlimited amount of information within web checkout. The other thing we want you to be able to do is continue repairing this equipment or apply maybe preventative maintenance to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck out of each device that you have. So to do that, I want to create a ticket for this device. So let's say that since I was ranting so much about how I'm not a big fan of MacBooks, maybe I damaged this piece of equipment, which would be quite shameful. So I could actually pull this, let's say Sean damaged this. I could pull this equipment out of circulation, and the system will tell me if I'm affecting any other orders. And I can create a ticket for this item. And these tickets are nice because they have a full history of all of the expenses, the time that you've logged with this equipment. You can assign this equipment to people to get fixed. So there's a lot of history that can be researched to discover, what equipment, if anything, what equipment is not doing as well. Maybe it's a lemon. I hope that's not the case. What equipment's getting damaged the most by students. So all of this can be researched. I think the last thing I was going to show you was, we can also retire equipment if we need to. Every equipment's going to have its, every piece is going to have its end date. So if I needed to, let's say that we're finally going to replace my old MacBook Pro, I can delete this resource. Now, the nice part about deleting in the system, it's not that it just goes away. It's actually moved into a different category. For the life of me, I can't remember what it's called, but let's just say that it's retired. The important part about that is all the historical information with this MacBook Pro, it's still kept. So if you needed to pull up reports on the equipment that you're not using anymore, if you needed to see how often it was used, all of this can still be measured. And even after a piece of equipment is deleted in the system, it can still be reinstated into the system. So nothing's ever officially deleted in Web Checkout. We try to keep a history of everything. So I think that addresses the primary topics I wanted to go over with you. What your students are going to see when they make reservations, how you're going to operate some things on the back end of the system, and also how your equipment is going to be tracked from the purchase date, from its repairs to its end of life. I'll go ahead and open it for questions. Is there anything else I can show y'all or answer for you, since we've got a small crowd here?
It's hard to know what to ask because there's a lot of pieces that you went over. We have a custom solution that's not anywhere near the level. I assume when you get new equipment, you can print out a handy dandy barcode that you can then use to track it in the system and check it in and check it out and that sort of stuff.
You're correct to an extent. Actually, so we'll save the barcode information. Our system won't actually print that. Usually people will use some kind of barcode software. Most of it's free, but all of that information related to the barcode is saved within the system. And I mean, not to your question, but a little more to it. When you're purchasing equipment and adding it to the system, you can add it through the interface if you want to, but you could also upload a CSV, which is pretty easy, and we would show you how to do that. I know sometimes teams will get grants, they'll get 300 pieces of equipment, and you don't want to add that one by one. And Jeffrey, you're right. I'm squeezing in 15 minutes of a demo that's usually 45. So if you have more questions, you're welcome to write me. I'd be happy to kind of build out a demo for you that would be much more focused on exactly what you need. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, everybody, I think we're in a good place here. I really appreciate y'all visiting and taking a look at kind of our newer version of Web Checkout. I think we're going to send out a message recording after this. It's also going to have my contact information. So much like I was telling Jeffrey, if any of you want to meet to discuss your specific use case, I'd be happy to join you. If we went over this entire system, it would probably take 4 hours. There are a lot of modules and other solutions built into it. So I'd be happy to show you some things that are a little more catered to your specific use case. Otherwise, congrats to making it to Thursday, and I hope all of you enjoy a good weekend.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everyone, and we'll have a recording following the call, and we hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.